within reach. A future where digital technology connects all four corners of the earth, giving every person access to the benefits it brings. A future where the path forward is stable, straight, and lasting. We're planting seeds of love and hope, making sure everyone can dream big, creating a better, intelligent life for all. We're building a future where hard work is respected. A future with a sustainable business ecosystem. We work hard to ensure that every connection is stable and secure. We develop secure technology that people can trust. It ensures both privacy and an enjoyable life. The Earth is our home, and we keep innovating to make it truly green. Holding hands with our partners to promote low-carbon development. Together, we can serve nature with technology, building a better planet for every living thing. Connectivity brings new possibilities, and a more sustainable future is right within reach.
В 2003 году была утверждена стратегия
индустриально-инновационного развития Казахстана.
– 2007 год стал настоящей проверкой на прочность для нашей страны.
В республике максимальное содействие оказывают инноваторам, разработчикам и генераторам идей.
Казахстан готов к современным вызовам.
Президент Казахстана подписал новый закон об инвестиционных и венчурных фондах.
Основным источником запуска инновационных проектов должно стать венчурное финансирование.
super mobile application Kaspi KZ is the most popular app in Kazakhstan and integral part of modern living. All our services are designed for one purpose: to improve lives of our customers. With Kaspi KZ Super App, more than 14 million of our customers make payments and transfers, manage personal finance, buy air and rail tickets, use popular public services, and shop online with free delivery nationwide. Mobile app for business Kaspi Pay by Kaspi KZ helps Kazakhstan companies grow and develop. Most partners of Kaspi Pay are small and medium businesses. Through Kaspi Pay, businesses
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Kindly mute your mobile phones. We have simultaneous translation services available in Kazakh, English, and Russian. Thank you for your attention.
Ханымдар мен мырзалар, орындарыңызда қалуыңызды өтінемін. Ұялы телефоныңыздың дыбысын өшіріңіз. Бізде қазақ, ағылшын және орыс тілдерінде ілеспе аударма қызметтері бар. Назарыңызға рахмет.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abayev Samet. I'm a head of Big Global Ventures, a venture arm of Kazakhstan Investment Corporation. Today, I will facilitate our roundtable. Thanks to the Digital Bridge Forum and using this unique opportunity of gathering all key players of the innovation ecosystem in Astana, we initiated the convention of the international and local financial institutions, as well as the digital ministry, in one place to open discussion on how we can join our efforts to develop the regional VC market together. We are delighted to start our roundtable session on the collaborative role of institutional investors in the development of the regional VC market with our distinguished guests. Prior to commencing our discussion, let's view a brief video that we have prepared, which delineates the historical evolution of venture capital in Kazakhstan.
В 2003 году была утверждена стратегия
индустриально-инновационного развития Казахстана.
— 2007 год стал настоящей проверкой на прочность для нашей страны.
В республике максимальное содействие оказывают инноваторам, разработчикам и генераторам идей.
Казахстан готов к современным вызовам.
Президент Казахстана подписал новый закон об инвестиционных и венчурных фондах.
Основным источником запуска инновационных проектов должно стать венчурное финансирование.
Thank you for your attention. Allow us to begin this session with an overview of the innovation ecosystem of Kazakhstan. I would like to invite Mr. Kanush Tleushin, the first Vice Minister of the Ministry of Digital Development, Innovations and Aerospace Industry of the Republic of Kazakhstan, to kick off this meeting. Mr. Tleushin.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants, thank you for joining us today on this auspicious occasion. We have gathered here to embark on a comprehensive exploration of the dynamic and evolving tech landscape within the nation of Kazakhstan. So basically, we prepared several slides on our innovation ecosystem of Kazakhstan, and just on this very important topic as a venture capital, system development. So if we move to the next slide, here I would like to stop on the last achievements in the digitalization sector. So basically, as you know, Kazakhstan has been ranked as a 28th country by United Nations in terms of YeGov, and it's also ranked as the 8th country in terms of online services. So it's, I think, on the one hand, it's a good achievement, but on the other, it's also a responsibility to move forward and without stopping and sharing our knowledge with also our neighboring countries as well. So the country is also witnessing a rapid economic digitalization, and we are right now working with our partners, financial institutions. And on the next slide, I would like to show some good joint projects with them. So access to our databases for financial institutions allowed us to come up with some good solutions that are being used right now by our population. And right now, people can buy a car, finalize a mortgage deal, launch an enterprise on mobile just in a few minutes. And I think it's also good to point. And right now, the adoption of cashless payment in the country has reached 85%. So we started with the eGov platform, and then we switched to the mobile version of that, since we have this good percentage of people who are using these smartphones. Well, one more example is the process of obtaining the birth certificate and the child support. So right now, just like one small example, mothers can complete all necessary documentation, including naming the child, without leaving the maternity ward, all in just a few minutes and a few clicks on a smartphone. We have developed the biometric identification, and all like main 24 digital documents are right now available on the smartphone. So there is no need to handing all paper documents with you. They are like officially recognized. You can place it and show it, like, I don't know, in the airport, in the main state bodies and agencies. So this is a good platform for us to move forward. And right now, today, we had this very interesting topic on AI, about the balance of AI. And we have seen some promising strides in AI as well. So right now, we have developed another good project. It's a smart data governance. We call it Smart Data Hükümet. So basically, it's an integration of around 88 different databases, which has become a good united platform that allows us to, provide some good projects. We have right now like 25. One of them has been pointed by our president during today's session. It's a digital map of families, so we can proactively provide all types of support for the families that have very low income, or they don't have income at all. So we can see it in advance, recognize, and for instance, if they do not have income during the last 2 quarters, we can see it in advance, and we can provide financial support straight away from the Ministry from the government. Children can get a hot meal next day in the school for free. So this is a good example of how this united database can help us, and we have different other good stories of that. So what we are doing right now, we are working on providing this database, on providing the access to this database to the people and AI startups, and we believe that it will give rise to the good number of new IT companies that are working in AI. So another story that I would like to share with you is our IT ecosystem. It's Astana Hub. So just a few numbers. We are growing in terms of number of residents, in terms of foreign companies that have decided to join this ecosystem as well. And if we had $33 million of export like just 2-3 years ago, this number have grown by 10 times, and we hope to reach $500 million up to the end of this year. But our president gave a new challenging task to reach 1 billion within the upcoming 2-3 years. So, and of course, this moves us towards working with the main tech partners across the globe. And you can see it on the slide. We're working with Google, Amazon, EPAM, and other companies. Team Draper had made a beautiful presentation today. We are sending around like 30 best startups, not just from only Kazakhstan, but from this region, including Azerbaijan, Turkey, Kyrgyzstan. So we do not consider Kazakhstan just one country that we need to work with, but I think together with other neighboring countries can help us to build a good channel so that our startups can move and to bigger markets and show their products. So we also think that the main key element of this ecosystem is the human capital, of course, and we have launched several programs that provide special vouchers for IT schools. So there is no need just to go and spend 4 or 5 years in universities just to get coding skills. You can spend 1 month, 2 months in these special IT schools within this, with the help of this program. And another good announcement was made today during the session. ICPC champion will be held in Astana next year. This is a huge event. A lot of big giants will come and join this event, and of course, that is a good opportunity for us as well. And we believe that there is a chance for us to become a hub for big tech companies to come and join. We have already got EPAM, Playrix. Playrix is a number 3, I believe, in terms of games, creative industry. They are already here in Kazakhstan, so the valuation is $8 billion. InDrive has moved to Kazakhstan from Russia with a valuation of $1.23 billion. And we have other companies that are joining us. So we need to work together so that we can be a better place for other companies to come to Kazakhstan and help us to further develop the ecosystem. So what needs to be done further? We believe that the last point, which is the main one, is the venture capital infrastructure. So we have watched on the video the progress of frameworks of the regulatory system that is improving, but nevertheless, and our president also has pointed out that we need to shape it and help other main key players from finance sector to actually join this good new trend. And we have here Aynur Kuatova. She is the CEO of QIC in Baytery Holding. I think with the help of this entity, we can create a fund of funds. We can boost the number of new venture capital funds. And on the last note, I would like to thank the World Bank, Andrei Mikhnev and his colleagues for helping us In these regards, we recently have launched Tumar Venture Capital Fund together, and they have already financed a number of deals. And I think that is a good example, a framework for other colleagues and our partners to join this, because if we didn't have a pipeline like, say, 10 years ago, right now we do have, and there is no dry powder in Kazakhstan. So I think there is a good opportunity for us to actually create something together. And we have a Silk Road Innovation Hub in Silicon Valley. We are planning to open these hubs in MENA region in Southeast Asia. And I think we are not limiting ourselves just to Kazakhstani market. So that can be a good story, that we can share together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Tuleushin, for such an interesting presentation. I have one question to you. Does the digital ministry consider the continuation of the established positive partnership with the World Bank through cooperation on new projects focused on venture capital development in Kazakhstan?
Yes, exactly. We are already in discussion of actually moving forward and continuing the story and setting up funds together. So I think Andrei and his colleagues will add more on that, what we can do together on this.
Thank you very much. As was mentioned, a very striking example of cooperation in terms of the development of innovations in Kazakhstan between an international financial organization and the government is the Fostering Productive Innovations project by the World Bank. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mikhnev, Country Manager for Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan.
Thank you very much. We have a few slides, and it was great to be invited here and participating in this event. And I really thank you for the ministry to support to this absolutely needed area for development of Kazakhstan. And we really see that innovative development and venture capitals, access to venture capital is really becoming big priority, and we've heard it from the political leadership of the country, as well as from the private sector participants, which is very important as well, because it needs not only the political will, but it also needs the active understanding and active market participants. I will use this one. So the World Bank is not only supporting private equity and venture capital financing in Kazakhstan, but we actually have a global program in this regard. And for us, it's important to focus on 4 main objectives when we are providing financing for this. First is increase access to risk capital, particularly for seed and early stage companies, which I believe a lot has been talked already today and during other events. In fact, early stage companies, they particularly struggle to secure traditional financing. So you cannot just use the traditional financing because it's high risk nature, potential failure. So it's really, you can starting up, you don't have a track record. So in this regard, it's really important to bridge this gap that exists for the startup company. So that's about increasing. At the same time, it's not only about financing. We believe that if we lower barriers for entry to funds managers and create a market where the venture capital industry could be developed, then it could better offering for the startup. We also want to be sure that it's going further and focusing on creating and scaling financially viable enterprises. So it's not only money behind that, it's also mentorship, guidance, connection to each other. Networking is very important. So the startup will actually achieving profitability and long-term success. And finally, as we are saying, the venture investment ecosystem needs to be strengthened. So it's really, you look around on the whole venture investment ecosystem, and not only looking at the venture capital and startup, but also other stakeholders, angel investors, incubators, accelerators, and other support organizations. So you really look at in a more the ecosystem and comprehensive way. If you look at some example, a snapshot of projects that we've done globally, in different countries, specifically project supporting the venture capital from the World Bank side. You can see that it's the amount and number of projects was different country year by year, but it clearly we see that it's starting increasing, especially the COVID-19 crisis actually from one side was a very, very disturbing for everyone, but from other sides also gave the impetus and opportunities for really testing new ideas. So the need for the venture capital is also increasing, including in some economies which are large economy like China, we have also engagement there. And also I wanted to say that our work globally on the supporting private equity and venture capital is linked to our broader work on the private sector development agenda. And if you look at the number of projects which correspond to different targets that we have in our project, you can see that, of course, increased risk capital is by far the largest one, but we also see other important ingredient to support the overall growth of the private sector. With that, I would like to ask my colleague, Yerali Beksultan, to give a little bit more details on our activities here in Kazakhstan.
Thank you. This is the schematic description of how the Tomar Ventures Fund was established. So as it was mentioned, this is one of the activities of the Fostering Productive Innovation project. And it is done under the financing agreement signed with the Ministry of Finance of the government of Kazakhstan, and the Ministry of Digital Development is the implementing party. So the whole idea was that the fund should be a hybrid one with a very active participation of the private sector from two sides. One, it should be managed by a professional management company that should be competitively selected. And the other part is that the project actually provides only half of the funds, and the other half, which is basically 10 plus 10, should be generated by the private companies, private investors and the LPs. And the GP's task is actually to attract and raise that private funding. And ultimately, one of the also important aspects is that the way the fund is managed is that, and we are really, really grateful for the ministry's understanding that the operations of the fund are not influenced by the government at all. So this is fully privately, professionally managed fund, and the government's function is at the steering board level where the strategic decisions are made. So this gives the necessary flexibility and the speed of decision making to the fund. One more thing I wanted to mention, which is really important in further collaboration. So before establishing the fund, there was a tremendous amount of work done in terms of actually assessing the ecosystem and building the case through the feasibility study to define the mandate of the fund, and keeping in mind that we don't crowd out the potential private players from the system, and rather establish this operation as a catalyzer. So which is basically, I think we are achieving the target, because this led to the situation that the management company was able to attract private investors into this very high risk investment sector. So, and in terms of the mandate, maybe a few words. So as it was already mentioned a couple of times, so we're really trying to focus on those stages of the financing where there is a market failure. So when this operation was designed, there was a clear sign, as I mentioned, including through the supporting documentation and the feasibility study, that there is a big gap in the early stage, and this is why ultimately the fund ended up focusing on the early stage. But for the purposes of diversifying the risks, it can also invest a certain amount of the portfolio to later stage developments to balance the risk. I think, yeah, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mikhnev. Mr. Beksultan, I have an additional question to you. What kind of support could be provided by the World Bank to develop the VC ecosystem in Kazakhstan further?
Thank you. So, in addition to what we've already done, maybe I could refer to some global experiences we have, specifically in the latest years. A lot of these type of engagements were done in Middle East and North Africa region. One of the main traits is that in addition to addressing the specific financing gap, there is a increasing attention paid to the activities that actually generate the quality pipeline for the industry. This means that, as it was already mentioned, the support to building the angel investors and supporting the incubators and accelerators in terms of improving their quality and ability to not only, let's say, to provide the technical assistance, but also to provide some funding to ease the job of the venture capital funds to find the quality deals. That's one thing. Another sort of trend is that the bank projects tend to mix the two approaches. The one that we do in Kazakhstan is fairly direct investment into a fund from the ministry side. But the other also experience is the creation of the fund of funds that gives the opportunity to actually cover more financing stages. So you can actually create 3-4 types of funds that can cover different early stage, then seed, pre-seed, and then the series A, B, C, depending on the maturity of the market. And one more thing I wanted to mention is that there is also something called GP incubator, which is part of these programs. And the logic there is that actually in the developing markets, it's finding a good quality GP is a challenge. So that skill also needs to be raised. And this type of comprehensive support is needed to also grow the professional GPs, and actually they could compete to participate in the fund of funds if they manage to attract the proper private participation and build the case for the deals. And the last thing I wanted to mention is it's really important to also look a bit beyond the venture capital itself and assess the need for improving the basically the business environment. So for example, in the countries like Tunisia, there is a whole Startup Act adopted by the country that already specifies the amount of support the government can give. In other countries, there is a legislation specifically on private equity and the venture capital. So these are the areas that I think would make sense to look into as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. Bayterek Holding is a state arm of mission to the sustainable economic development of Kazakhstan through financing and supporting the economy's priority sectors. In his speech, President of Kazakhstan, Mr. Tokayev, mentioned that Bayterek is a solid local partner for international venture firms and organizations. Kazakhstan Investment Corporation, on behalf of Bayterek, acts as a flagship of the development of private equity and venture capital in the country. We are delighted to have the CEO of QIC, Ms. Kuatova, to present information about QIC.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here among such esteemed guests. I have a few slides about Kazakhstan Investment Corporation. I have my notes prepared in Russian, so I'll switch to Russian not to disappoint my team. Sorry. Kazakhstan Investment Corporation, бывшее его название Казна Capital Management, является стопроцентной дочерней организацией Национального финансового института Байтерек. Мы были созданы в 2007 году, чуть более 15 лет назад, как фонд фондов. И с тех пор вот мы, наверное, единственный институт в Казахстане, который инвестирует в альтернативный класс инвестиций в том числе. Нашей основной задачей является содействие развитию рынка private equity и venture capital в Казахстане. Амбиции наши: мы хотим стать крупнейшим региональным игроком со временем в этой области. Ну и еще одна основная задача, она корреспондирует с миссией холдинга Байтерек, это содействовать устойчивому развитию экономики Республики Казахстан и ее диверсификации. У нас на сегодня в портфеле есть 17 фондов, большинство из которых созданы с участием международных институциональных инвесторов. Общая капитализация этих фондов $2,5 миллиарда. Наша доля в этом фонде составляет чуть меньше $1 миллиарда. В результате деятельности компании за 15 лет, точнее фондов и коллаборации нашей с генеральными партнерами, которые управляют этими фондами, только в Казахстане было создано 23 тысячи рабочих мест. У нас довольно широкий мандат, мы инвестируем и в инфраструктурные проекты, и в социальную сферу, то есть мы можем финансировать госпитали и школы. Наш, конечно, основной фокус — это обрабатывающий сектор, и также venture capital у нас очень выпукло присутствует в мандате. Мы фокусируемся на секторе МСБ, то есть для нас основным таргетом являются компании малого и среднего бизнеса. Буквально месяц назад нам Fitch повысила рейтинг до BBB-, а первый раз мы кредитный рейтинг получили в 2021 году. То есть мы считаем, что это хороший прогресс за 2 года. Мы поддерживаем такие международные инициативы, как устойчивое развитие и гендерное равенство. Мы являемся членом GPCA, UNPRI Association и UN Global Compact. У нас в коллективе женщин работает 60%, 40% мужчины. То есть здесь у нас даже перекос какой-то небольшой идет. У нас в руководстве 50/50 женщин и мужчин представлено. Но мы ни в коем случае мужчин не дискриминируем ни по какому признаку. 96% наших инвестиций направлено все-таки на Казахстан. Это понятно, потому что мы Казахстанский институт развития. Большую часть в нашем портфеле занимает транспорт, логистика, АПК и энергетика. Мы активно инвестируем в возобновляемую энергетику. Мы установили более 50 партнерств с ведущими финансовыми институтами мира. Мы работаем с такими компаниями, как CITIC, Mubadala, ADQ. Мы надеемся, что мы можем себя назвать теперь партнером All Bank, поскольку прорабатываем несколько инициатив вместе. Ну и, конечно, исторически наш партнер ЕБРР, и мы надеемся, что мы все-таки продолжим работать в направлении, в котором мы с вами сотрудничаем. Мы очень активны в венчурном финансировании. Я извиняюсь. У нас на сегодня есть 3 фонда в портфеле. Один 500 Startups. Педро здесь присутствует. Очень успешный фонд. Мы рады тем, как он развивается. На сегодня $2 миллиона были проинвестированы в казахстанские стартапы здесь, из этого фонда. Его отраслевой мандат — это IT, ну и другие сферы, которые связаны с технологиями. Мы также являемся участником фонда Quest Ventures Asia Fund 2 с общим целевым размером в $32,5 миллиона. Здесь нашим якорным коинвестором является компания Pavilion Capital, которая является дочерней структурой, в свою очередь, холдинга Temasek. Отраслевой мандат фонда технологические стартапы во всех отраслях экономики, которые способны масштабировать свои бизнес-проекты на международные рынки. Фонд финансирует стартапы из Казахстана, точнее в Казахстане, Центральной и Юго-Восточной Азии. $2,5 миллиона на сегодня уже было профинансировано в 32 казахстанских стартапа. Есть у нас 3-й фонд на сегодня в портфеле Da Vinci Emerging Technologies Fund 3. с общей капитализацией чуть более 60 миллионов. Не менее 70% от общей капитализации фонда будет направлено на финансирование проектов на территории СНГ, в основном проектов в Казахстане и Украине. У нас один проект профинансирован на средства фонда, это компания Bilimland EdTech. В целом мы можем, и нам это дозволяется, и мы хотим предоставлять финансирование технологическим стартапам на всех стадиях, начиная с посевной и далее на более зрелых стадиях. Сейчас у нас, к сожалению, в основном преобладает в портфеле предпосевная и посевная стадии. Но вот мы сейчас рассматриваем различные фандрейзинг-инициативы со стороны рыночных игроков для того, чтобы инвестировать, осуществлять инвестиции в послепосевных стадиях. Одна из наших основных задач, опять же, это содействовать притоку международных и национальных инвесторов в Казахстан и регион. И я считаю, что более-менее мы с этим справляемся. К примеру, наш фонд Quest Ventures совместно инвестировал $500 тысяч в казахстанский стартап в сфере HR-решений Clockstar. Это очень успешная онлайн-платформа HR-инструментов. И эта компания впоследствии вышла на рынок Индонезии, внедрила новую систему Earned Wage Access, которая дает возможность начисления зарплаты за отработанные дни. И сейчас в целом сервисами Clockstar пользуются около 650 компаний, из которых более 500 в Казахстане. Еще один проект, который профинансирован был из наших фондов, это проект 100 грамм. Фонд инвестировал 500 тысяч в онлайн-платформу для автовладельцев. И после 100 грамм привлекли новый раунд финансирования от казахстанского частного бизнесмена. В итоге компания по итогам раунда оценили в $13,5 миллионов. И база 100 грамм выросла до 250 тысяч автовладельцев, что, я считаю, тоже является успешным примером инвестирования в стартапы. Для того, чтобы дать, поскольку одна из наших основных задач – это развитие экосистемы, инфраструктуры рынка Private Equity, VC, Venture Capital в Казахстане, мы в прошлом году создали платформу Big Global Ventures, Абай является ее руководителем. Мы планируем с помощью Big Global Ventures выводить наши стартапы на международные рынки. Хотим также финансировать программы по взращиванию генеральных партнеров, потому что, к сожалению, рынок за последние 10 лет несколько случился, независимые игроки с рынка ушли, надо их возвращать. Вот, и мы будем инвестировать в New Founders, так называемых. Плюс мы хотим запустить ряд программ для воспитания, взращивания бизнес-ангелов. То есть нам не хватает инвесторской базы, мы хотели бы этим плотно заняться, вот начиная буквально с следующего года. У Абая очень много интересных идей, инициатив, и если вы, в свою очередь, с такими же целями поддержите нас, мы были бы очень рады. Что еще? Наверное, все. Вот, наверное, вот так как-то. Да?
Большое спасибо за очень подробный рассказ про деятельность QIC. Еще раз приносим извинения за технические неполадки. У меня один вопрос, Энурсына, к вам. Касательно международного опыта уже коллеги с Урбанка поделились, что существуют механизмы взращивания как раз таки First Time GP Founders через механизм обучения и Fund of Funds Programs, а также касательно развития культуры и бизнес-ангельства в Казахстане, также обучения и соинвестирования. Насколько, как вы считаете, данный опыт применим в Казахстане и какие факторы должны, скажем так, повлиять на то, чтобы это осуществилось?
Я думаю, это, конечно же, применимо. То есть нам, конечно, предстоит пообщаться с теми участниками рынка за рубежом, которые этими программами занимались, прежде чтобы лучшие практики, чтобы взять их лучшие практики и применить их здесь. Но я уверена, что это все применимо. Я уверена, что у нас в Казахстане существует множество талантливых очень ребят, финансово грамотных, которым была бы интересна такая перспектива, такая карьерная перспектива, скажем так. Вот, и есть спрос. Вот мы только что с Алишером говорили о том, что, к сожалению, не хватает, да, грамотных, точнее опытных GP на рынке. Вот, ну, опыт нарабатывается, понятно, с годами, с практикой, поэтому с чего-то начинать надо. Вот, какие факторы? Ну, наверное, только воля и, ну, финансовая поддержка. Я думаю, с помощью финансов и желания можно реализовать очень многое.
Большое спасибо. Двигаемся дальше. A great story when a private player is building a startup and venture ecosystem is Most Holding. I invite Mr. Hamitov, CEO of Most Ventures, to talk about it.
Hello. Oops, sorry. Hello, everyone. At first, I would love to thank the organizers for such a great event, and specifically for this panel. Yeah, I also have some slides, so it will be more clear the context, what we do, and I would love to share my thoughts on as a case in terms of what is our vision of a relationship between the venture player plus institution investors. So I'm the CEO of Most Ventures. I'm the co-founder of Most Holding. Just a few words about the ecosystem that we built. So in 2011, we have launched the first business incubator in Central Asia. And starting from there, we actually truly believe in techpreneurs in the region, and we try to support them financially and non-financially. And what we have today, we have our own ecosystem. And sometimes I usually say it's a fact that if you would love to support the entrepreneurs, sometimes you cannot just create the fund and just wait that they will come and you can fund them. So this is the story. That's why we have and actually build the ecosystem by truly believing again in our entrepreneurs. So we have educational blog, so we have our own incubator accelerator, we have our academy, the media part. We always try to highlight that we have everything here. We have ecosystem, we have government support, we have infrastructure, we have funds, everything is here, but not so many people actually know in the world that it is so. We also have our own infrastructure. We know that we need to create some point of attraction, physical point of attraction to the founders, to the startups and corporates. That's why we have Most Hub. We actually have two hubs. We have Most Hub in Almaty and we have Most Hub in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. And I hope that we're going to launch pretty soon the Bishkek. So it will be kind of a network of hubs where the founders can find all the support. We also have the club, Yume Angels Club. It's, I suppose, one of the biggest angels clubs in the region. We have 98 members there. And yeah, we co-invest in early stage companies since we have understanding that we have to nurture the next generation of business angels. Since so much capital here in the region, but it hardly goes into VC, right? So it's all about community and the organic growth. And finally, we also have our own fund, Most Ventures Fund 1, registered in AIFC, in Astana Financial Center. It's 10 million. AUM, and now we're heading to the launch of our second fund with truly believe that specifically our speakers already mentioned, we have more growing companies, seed, pre-A and round A companies, and we don't see so many maybe still players here. It's good that they're emerging, but that's why we're creating our second fund. I would love to actually through my speech to share some numbers through the VC market research that we made recently. Actually, it covers 4 years from 2018 till 2022. And I think when you look at the market in dynamics, it's much easier to understand if it's growing or not, or it's growing dynamically or not. So if you can see that just from in these 4 years, 148 million were invested in startups. And I would say that if you look at the research, I really will appreciate if you do this, you're going to see that some of the percentage that we put there, it's actually we call observable deals. It means that, yes, we have the funds, we have investors, but not all of the deals happen publicly, which I think is a big issue, but still they happen, and I think it's still not enough. And I recently just made a post that I think just today, the lack of funding for the startups is more than 100 million. And if you count the funds that we have, it's just drastically less than what we need. You can also see on the right there's not just seed or pre-seeded seed stages. Yes, we have late seed stage companies who raise already more than 1 million, 2 million, 3 million and more. And like it was Alexei Lee on the stage today, right? From Pine Melon Company, one of the first actually doers, the startup who started to scale to US, who raised I think more than 5 or 6 million soon. And it means that the market is growing, and we see there's more and more mature companies coming, and they also need the support. I'm not saying that we have to ignore the pre-seed, for sure. We're an emerging market. It means that we still have to support them, but organically we see that on each stage we need different players to support them. And why I'm happy to be here is I would love to highlight institutional investors' interest in the whole Central Asian market. And the last slide I have here, it's again, there are several factors that we see which should lead to the belief that we have the market with a huge potential. Specifically, as a fund, we invested already in 16 companies, and most part of them are scale-ups. It means that we all understand that the market is small, they started to scale, but on each stage they again need specific funding and specific support. And that's why we actually also moved to our second fund. So the first one is about the scale up. The second one, our president said that we have to increase, right, the IT export up to 1 billion. And I don't believe that we can do just through only, I don't know, outsourcing the staff. It's all about the venture, right? We all like a lot of cases, again, through Estonia, I don't know, Ukraine and others who already have several unicorns. And we know through the venture instrument we can actually also reach it pretty soon. And lastly, we are in trend. We try to be in trend also as a most. We're not just talking about the money. I really like that Mr. Andrei Mikhnev mentioned this. It's also about impact. And yeah, with our second fund, as an example, we also look at the SDG not like a trend, but really looking at the companies when we evaluate them. So with our second fund, we also think of supporting more impact investments like in financial inclusion, climate, female entrepreneurship, and so on. So just an example, over there you can see one of the successful case of startups, and I would love to end my speech with the thing that we use them for the most time as a society, but most of the time people don't understand that if there is no venture, these companies, there will not be such a companies like we like today and like their services. So my final thought is just we, I think, have a huge potential in terms of infrastructure, the capital, specifically talents, and I think that DFIs, IFIs should really look at this as a last tech frontier for sure, since it's everything that we can support in, and in the short term we can reach pretty good success stories which will change the whole game here in the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions to you. In your expert opinion, from the perspective of the private VC player, what type of support is needed for emerging fund managers in Kazakhstan from state-owned and international institutional investors?
You know, from our example, we're actually the first investment company who got the license in AIFC as a collective scheme management investment company. And again, we created a fund. I would say the basic challenge is funding, for sure. Since we're emerging markets, not so, I mean, a lot of people just don't understand what it is, and we have a lot of traditional kind of capital. And the main challenge is funding, again, and education. And yes, we have high net worth and, you know, different family offices, but the main issue that they have so low risk appetite. So when they come, we come to them and say, okay, we should invest into IT companies, the main question is, do you have any other supports? And that's why I really like what QIC is doing as a fund of fund. I think we need more fund of funds, but also again, one of the best practices in the world is when institutional investors come and they co-invest. I mean, they co-invest in funds, they co-invest in specific companies. So I would say the funding. And maybe the second one, I don't want to make it simple, but again, it's about regulation type of thing that we also see that, okay, we are using jurisdiction of AIFC, But even there, we also try to go through the whole processes by taking the management fee on all of this stuff, which leads us sometimes to the question that, yeah, we still would love to be here and make the first case even here in Kazakhstan in AFC as a case.
Thank you. And the second question is, you mentioned that you are co-founder of the largest business angels network in Kazakhstan. Again, in your opinion, can co-investment initiatives with business angels led by institutional investors provide an additional boost to mobilization of private capital from high net worth individuals?
Okay. So as an angel club, I would say there's a huge potential, but what I call the customer acquisition cost is high when you invite people to come to angel investments. So just to make it short, I think the main one is again about risk appetite and education. And by having 90 plus angels in the club, we see the dynamics, we see what is called retention, like how many deals they do, what is the average check, and so on. And what we see, it's all about having someone who already invests in. So that's why in our club we never do the deals when there is no lead investor. And we suppose that institutional investors and other funds might be the lead investors. And as a case, we most ventures bring most of the deals to the club. So people will somehow believe that, okay, the startup went through some due diligence. It means that someone also believes into this, and they are happier to co-invest. So for sure, I would say that when we have institutional investors, kind of reliable source of funding also, and when we can co-invest, for sure people will more believe into this and go into the VC.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Let's move on. We are fortunate to have an investment officer of the Venture Capital and Disruptive Tech at the International Finance Corporation, Mr. Alisher Abdurrahmanov. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's a big pleasure actually to share this roundtable with all of you, and big thanks to the organizers for bringing such high quality crowd. Today I'll speak a bit more about IFC's business in venture capital and disruptive tech. So I would like to start with sharing some experiences from other emerging markets and tell a bit more about the toolkit that we have, different instruments that we can actually use. As many of you know, IFC is part of the World Bank Group, and we're benefiting tremendously, with collaborations with the World Bank colleagues. So we are arm that invests in private sector across emerging markets. And our instruments are both financial and non-financial, and we always try to couple it together with the World Bank colleagues as well. So, So IFC has been in venture capital business since early 90s, with the first fund investment happened in late 80s actually. We are more famous probably globally about our infrastructure, financial institutions and other traditional sector investments, but we've been quite experienced in terms of bringing venture capital across emerging markets since 90s. And we've been investing directly in startups, like back then they were called tech companies mostly, since 90s and 2000s. In 2010, we actually formed our dedicated VC practice that's been investing both in VC funds as well as directly in startups. So our team's objective is basically to catalyze investments into venture ecosystems across the globe in emerging markets. So we would like to play a role basically providing a stamp of approval, demonstrating effect of developing those ecosystems and bringing basically crowding in the market with other investors. So to date we completed about 2 billion in terms of VC commitments and investments. We have portfolio currently of about 60 direct investments in startups and about 70 fund investments. So this actually helps us to leverage our quite extensive network globally in order to perform high quality transactions. And to date we have supported more than 20 unicorns globally, and most of them are coming from emerging markets. Next one. So basically the logic and the strategy we follow here, we try to support ecosystems from the very early stage, basically from the idea generation until the exit. So we have various instruments, as you can see on the slide, and if you look at the venture capital line here, so we have upstream, which is more like advisory services that we provide, and it comes more in a non-financial instrument type. And then we have our kind of flagship program named IFC Startup Catalyst, which supports venture capital managers, funds across emerging markets. And it usually happens in nascent markets with first or second time fund managers. And I'll speak a bit about it a bit more in the next slides. And after that, once the VC funds, they actually help to go through incubation acceleration, we actually start scaling on scale, growth, and then exit. And thanks to our mainstream business, the traditional part of our operations, we actually can support them through our private equity funds team, but also we can actually provide them debt financing, which is more traditional to more mature businesses. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see actually some of the examples how we supported Mogliks out of India, actually, going through the entire cycle in terms of life cycle of a startup. So that's something we actually strive to do in all the geographies and emerging markets we are active in. So here you can see the main kind of pillars that we're looking at. So here you can see the first one, and it's probably the most relevant to today's conversation we're having. It's about supporting local ecosystems and ensuring that the digital economies are developing in a proper way. So here I would like to again stress the instrument that we have, which is Startup Catalyst program, which is a 120 million program that we started rolling out back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So far we deployed about 60 million of funding across emerging markets. And we got a top up from our board just last year, less than a year ago, for additional 60 million. And that we are actually utilizing as of now. And more in medium term, we're speaking about venture capital funds and co-investments specifically, because we would like to establish good relationships with local funds and strategic players that we can actually co-invest with, and that would actually help us to streamline our internal processes for co-investment program. And later on comes, obviously, the growth equity funds and co-investments, as I mentioned before. Here, again, I'll just mention, on the top of the slide, you can see the three main non-financial value adds, instruments that we are actually trying to leverage, which is upstream, as I mentioned. It's more of an advisory instrument when we're trying to provide additional skills training to local ecosystems. It could be tailor-based, but the ultimate purpose is actually to promote digital economies and bring them to the next levels. We are, as Ainur was saying about QIC, we're paying quite a bit of attention to gender investments. So here you can see that we partnered with WeFi, Women Entrepreneur Finance Initiatives, and we have programs like ScaleX. So basically the main goal of it is to enable women founders and startup CEOs and top management to gain access to funding. And this happens mainly through training. And then Tech Emerge platform is exactly what I think was discussed today quite a bit. It's basically using IFC's extensive network of all the funds, investee companies, etc., and try to connect high-quality solution providers with the corporates that are our clients across the globe. So we're trying to kind of marry the two and trying to leverage it as much as possible. And again, in play here comes the IFC's extensive network that we're trying to utilize as much as we can. And here again, I'll just probably move to the next slide, but the most relevant for today's conversation are the first two buckets. So we're speaking about seed funds and accelerators, as well as venture capital funds that are focusing specifically on seed to Series A mostly as of today. And our focus in terms of sectors, I would say it's climate tech, ag tech, health and education tech, as well as technologies promoting financial inclusion. Here you can see actually our network in terms of the direct VC funds. This is not part of Startup Catalyst, but this actually exactly what helps us to get market insights across all emerging markets. So we have more than 70 VC funds, and we're trying to basically get access and insights in those markets and then try to leverage to make direct investments in startups, and thus enabling further the ecosystems. And again, we're benefiting of being part of the World Bank Group. So what we try to do is basically to help one way or another to, promote or, improve regulatory systems. And that's how we're trying to get the conversation going with the governments and other regulators. Here, I'd like to speak a bit more about Startup Catalyst. So as I mentioned, it's a 120 million program. We already deployed more than 60 million out of it. We're deploying 60 more million. There was a top-up last year. There are about 5 or 6 VC funds that we are in our pipeline. And I would like to make another, positive announcement today. So out of this program, we just disclosed on our website that we're planning to invest 5 million in Sturgeon Capital, their second fund focusing on Central Asia. So I think it makes IFC the largest international institutional investor in a VC ecosystem in Central Asia. And we think it's just, kind of a first step into bigger journey that we have together in this region. Here's the network, of Startup Catalyst investee funds. And I think, most of you will recognize some of the names you see here. So we are very proud that we got a chance, to support this fund managers and also support their investee companies by co-investing with them. And the last but not least, I wanted to mention that currently there is a program running for as part of ScaleX. We did it with Wi-Fi, and this is kind of facilitated with Village Capital, and this is specifically focused on educating fund managers in terms of enabling women founders getting access to funding. And if any of you guys want, any more information, I'm going to be around, and here are my contact details. So thanks a lot for the floor, and thanks a lot, for having this organized.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. I have a question to you. We have already talked about fund of funds programs for emerging fund managers in Kazakhstan. What do you think? What are prerequisites for IFC to provide financial and non-financial support to emerging fund managers in Kazakhstan and Central Asian region as well?
Now, so in terms of selection of fund managers, the key thing is the founding team, the partners. It comes both on the professional track record side as well as integrity. So usually IFC is very heavy in our due diligence process in terms of reference checks. So 70%, I would say, roughly, comes, from speaking to their LPs, their investee companies, the startups that they ended up not investing in. So we would, really value that feedback that the market has about them. Second one is definitely investment thesis, that we want to make sure that the fund managers actually realize the reality on the ground, and it's not just, something that DFIs usually want to hear, but in fact, actually that's something that the local market needs. And then the third one is definitely, it's a track record, the investee funds, feedback in terms of the integrity and the value add they can provide to their portfolio companies. And in terms of the tools we have, so on probably the most relevant for today's conversation would be the IFC Startup Catalyst program, out of which we're investing in Sturgeon Capital. We don't have any limits in terms of one investee fund per region. It more comes, what would bring more value in terms of development of ecosystems. So for us, that's something we gonna, continue leveraging and utilizing, and hopefully, once we reach, the limit of the fund, we can actually top it up again with our board. And in terms of non-financial value adds, it's again the upstream advisory that we can actually provide. It could be very tailor-made in terms of specific needs of a VC fund manager or ecosystem. So that's something that's kind of discussable. And then it's definitely the gender training that we do together with Wi-Fi and ScaleX. And then it's Tech Emerge platform that connects, various stakeholders, different high-tech solution providers with corporates that actually can help them roll out those solutions and, grow them to scale. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Aydin Muhamedjanov, who is Deputy CEO of Kazakhstan Investment Development Fund, which is one of the vehicles of the state infrastructure aimed to improve the attractiveness of the investment climate in the country. Mr. Muhamedjanov, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Abay. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share some milestones of the Kazakhstan Investment Development Fund, which was established in 2019. At the core of our mission is attraction of foreign direct investments into non-extractive sectors of economy in the Republic of Kazakhstan. KDF operates as a sovereign development fund registered at the Astana International Financial Center with target capitalization of $1 billion. The management company of KDF holds a license for managing investments and managing collective investment scheme granted by Astana Financial Services Authority. KDF's board of directors is chaired by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan, so we are able to address all issues related to our project at the highest level. On this slide you can see the main points of our investment declaration. We invest in a wide range of industries and our portfolio is focused on direct investments and participation in private equity funds with international financial institutions. Here some investment projects. We invested in several tourism and entertainment projects as we believe in their high potential and ability to create jobs. Currently, KDF focused on infrastructure projects such as renewable energy, water treatment. We have also partnership relations with international sovereign wealth funds and strategic partners such as DFC, Mubadala, Proparka, and others. Here, the proposed cooperation scheme, where we invest directly into joint venture together with foreign investors. So the joint venture should be established at IFC jurisdiction, so it would be able to enjoy all tax incentives provided by this jurisdiction. Another structure is participation in joint private equity fund together with foreign investors. So this fund also may utilize all tax incentives provided by IFC jurisdiction, and this fund also should invest within the Kazakhstan. So in conclusion, I would like to emphasize that KDF's primary objective is to foster foreign investments into the economy, into the development of the economy of the Republic of Kazakhstan, and we stand as a robust partner for foreign investors. We support our projects and foreign investors in relations with state authorities, participate in equity capital, so we have skin in the game. We promote our projects using governmental tools, and so KDF is a reliable partner for foreign investors seeking to engage in the Kazakhstan's economic landscape. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another fundamental consideration within the realm of venture capital, irrespective of the geographical context, pertains to its capacity for generating positive social outcomes, particularly for vulnerable demographics such as women and children worldwide. Today we are privileged to have Ms. Leticia Bazivail, the acting UNICEF representative in Kazakhstan, among us. Leticia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm just waiting for the presentation. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon on behalf of UNICEF. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So just to say that yes. So I will present this afternoon the UNICEF Venture Fund, which is managed at the global level by our Office of Innovation. And as you know, half of the world, of course, is not connected. And we all know that digital connectivity has fundamentally changed the way people interact, exchange, acquire information, and access to services. But we are lacking digital solutions and services that are accessible to and benefit also the most vulnerable. And so for this reason, in 2014, almost 10 years ago, UNICEF has established the Venture Fund as a vehicle to identify, explore, and showcase the value of potentially disruptive technologies to solve large-scale challenges for children. And the UNICEF fund, the Venture Fund, is a $35 million fund, and it also invests in startups in cryptocurrency. So the team, the Office of Innovation team tracks emerging trends and identifies new areas for exploration so that new technologies or new applications of technology can support UNICEF's program through investment in startups and also through the country offices that are present at the country level. So these are new and unproven technology areas that are solving challenges for new areas of work for UNICEF. And they are typically at the intersection of billion persons' needs. Hold on, let me just go back. I went too fast. Yes, so they are typically at the intersection of billion persons' needs with a $100 billion industry, and essentially around emerging technology areas such, of course, the drones, virtual and augmented reality, and artificial intelligence, data science, and blockchains. So the venture fund model is unique in itself. It exclusively invests in solutions that come from our program countries with the belief that local solutions are the most efficient in solving local problems. The goal is to shift the global balance and build up entrepreneurs and technologists in those markets and move private venture capital to markets that mostly don't see enough funding. Most VC funds don't go to women, and so we are very happy to say that 43% of the fund's portfolio is female-led, and we are working hard to ensure that we will reach the goal of 50%. The fund is also catalytic, and it has driven private and other funding towards innovating for children. 80% of the companies in our portfolio generate revenue and they have raised over $39 million of investment after getting funding from UNICEF. The UNICEF Venture Fund is also the first of its kind and the only mechanism in the UN system that can hold and disburse crypto. The Office of Innovation is working with various divisions to get the crypto fund institutionalized because the prototype period comes to this end in December this year. And finally, everything the fund invests in is open source. And we do this because open source solutions are more scalable, more adaptable, and accessible. The venture funds invest in a diverse group of founders building open source solutions. You can see on the map the scale of the investment across the different countries and continents. The current venture fund support covers 81 startup investment in a 65 country office investment as well, and promoting 18 digital public goods. For example, in Kazakhstan, through UNICEF country office investment, we had 2 digital platforms that were deployed and certified as digital public good in 2021 and 2023. And they were the first one for Central Asia, digital public goods. So this is, for example, Accessible Kazakhstan, which is an interactive map which displays information on the availability of accessible and inclusive public facilities and services, not only for people with disabilities, but also other vulnerable persons. And we also have the OZIM platform, for example, that provides up-to-date information and educational support for parents and caregivers of children with disabilities. Developing and making solutions available on open source licenses and as digital public goods presents a critical equalizer to ensure access to services and opportunities for all, especially in low-resource settings. These solutions, as you can see, they have reached 41 million beneficiaries across different sectors. UNICEF's Venture Fund adds value by testing and investing in early stage, just open innovation and positioning the most suitable solutions for scale. Here you have some examples of to what extent the fund was also catalytic in innovations for children. And so we hope to embark new digital ideas that are generated in Kazakhstan and benefit more children in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is so inspiring. Let's move on. A notable instance of an international financial institution fostering a venture capital ecosystem in Kazakhstan is exemplified by the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. We are privileged to welcome Mr. Oshan, the head of EBRD in Kazakhstan.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and privilege to be here, Vice Minister. Thank you very much, and organizers. Thank you very much for a great event. I know we're running out of time, so I will be very quick. Today I will try to focus on not fully on the investment side of the venture capital, but what we are doing on the slightly on the advisory side, how we support on the non-financial side of the venture capital universe in the countries of operation that we are operating, 38 of them, and with specifically on Kazakhstan as well. So we have three legs of how we support or how we finance activities in the venture capital universe. The first one is the early stage innovation facility, which EBRD invests in selected venture capital funds. This is a fund of funds type of structure where we invest in funds like the most fund that Alim was talking about earlier in the countries that we operate in. And then secondly, out of the fund of funds, we have also direct investments where we provide financing directly into the companies. As EBRD, we become shareholders. And how we do it is we do it through a vehicle, a sidecar vehicle type that we created within the EBRD, because our private equity investments do need to go through all sorts of different credit committees and approvals, and which takes a lot of time. So we created what we call the Venture Capital Investment Program. We put aside, I think right now we're on the third round, something like $350 million. And then we do invest directly in the venture capital across our countries of operations. But what I want to really talk about today is our Star Venture program, which we launched in Kazakhstan last year. And then we have the first cohort of 8 companies that we are supporting through our advisory, mainly on the advisory side. And that includes the high potential startups. That includes also local, our engagement with the local accelerators, as well as the startup cohorts. Now, the Star Venture program is currently active in 23 countries. Kazakhstan is one of them, and the only one in Central Asia. Basically, we provide support to the high potential startups who raised between 19 and 22. The cohorts raised something like $420 million. We have 1,500 plus mentors and advisors, and we have supported up until now 600 plus startups. And then, as part of the increasing the universe and supporting the ecosystem, we also have trained more than 100 local consultants as well. So we have 26 local partner accelerators. Astana Hub is one of them. And our overall goal here is to support the overall ecosystem so that these companies can go out and tap into the venture capital seed, starting from pre-seed, seed, and then Series A, B, and hopefully they will grow into larger PE-supported companies. Now, the benefits of this program, so basically what we do is that when the company becomes, or one of the high potential startup companies become the Star Venture program, within the Star Venture program, we provide them with diagnostics, and there we are partnering up with Cambridge University for the Strategic Compass workshop. Then we have individual consulting that is provided to them. Then we use our also connections for them to be able to have access to the markets, access to the investors, and access to mentors. Therefore, they will have a full support to become basically the unicorns in a perfect world. So let me quickly talk about the diagnostics. It's all starts up. For example, in Kazakhstan, all startups have done the 5 sessions of these workshops with the Cambridge University professionals. So this is basically for them to be able to develop an action plan for the next 2 years, looking into the risks and opportunities for their respective markets that they're operating in. Then we will move into the individual consulting, where each startup is unique, so they need to have their individual consultants depending on their sectors and in terms of the tasks, questions that they need to solve. So from sales to CRM, from a back accounting, mid-office, etc., marketing, all of this is a part of this individual consultant, depending on the needs. So it's a tailor-made approach. And access to markets. So we are collaborating with 26 accelerators globally that will support these startups within this universe. So for example, in the last 3 months, we helped 2 startups to enter the markets like Egypt and also Uzbekistan as well. Access to investors is that we've done online pitch events where we put them together with the investors, and this included our own investment program on the venture capital investment program as well. So we can also co-invest with the other investors into the cohorts in this program. And finally, access to mentors. Our partners at the Nomadic Minds is a selective membership, and they will help all of these companies across the cohort to support emerging market startups with 350 amongst the 350 mentors that we have across this program. I will leave it here, and I think I have actually managed to do it in 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we have extra time to continue our session. I have a question to you, Mr. Ozhan. Could you tell us, please, more about the results of this program in Kazakhstan?
Sure. Let me also try to find the actual data so that I can give you the right answers. So, in the first cohort, we have 7 startups, and that has achieved quite a bit in the last 9 months. So, for example, Bank for Me was one of them. This is an all banks in one service. It works in Kazakhstan with more than 50 merchants and 6 banks. Over the past several months, they have launched a car loan and installment payment module in Kazakhstan and started their preparations to launch in Egypt and Azerbaijan markets as well, which is imminent. So Parkour is another one, which is within the first cohort. They have become the winner of the competition of the Emerge conference in Dubai this year. and received additional grant money for their operations in the vicinity of $100,000. Tayyab is another one, which is the first digital Islamic financial service in Kazakhstan, and they are also the winners of our EBRD Digital Oscars, which is led by my colleague, head of our digital hub, Jacek. And they are also expanding in Turkey and Uzbekistan, and we are providing support to them with the 5 banks in Uzbekistan and two other banks in Turkey. And we launched 2 advisory projects that will help these startups to improve their product services as well. And we're planning to support the expansion of the partner accelerators into other cities within Kazakhstan, and also try to see more results in the 24-25 period. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing. Dear Mr. Kubas, very delighted and fortunate to have you. You represent digital hub of EBRD, which is a significant component of EBRD that closely interacts with corporations. Could you please tell us how can the EBRD digital hub help to develop the VC ecosystem in Kazakhstan and Central Eurasian region?
Sure, thank you very much. Really great to be here today. Digital is one of the 3 strategic priorities for us as a bank, alongside inclusion and green. So we are really serious about it, and we set up the hub, which is kind of similar to your digital bridge, right? We act as a bridge to our clients, where we can bring digital into our investments and products, but we also act as a bridge inside the bank to pull relevant teams together, because digital is across every sector that we are doing business in. And I think here, of course, what is very interesting, and I think already was mentioned here, there are a couple of elements that are really important for us to be able to scale up. One is really on building that capacity that you, Minister, already mentioned, right? Whether that's education, or what we are doing with the Star Venture program is to really empower the founders and the teams, because you can have the great idea, but if you don't have a good team behind it, it may never actually flourish, right? So that's why we put a lot of effort into that. And then equally with our financing elements, whether we do it through funds, as obviously has probably much bigger reach for us as an institution, and then through our VCIP team, which indeed just launched the 3rd framework, which is €250 million, and we are investing now in the startups directly through that, but also launched something that is really new. We also launched a debt framework, so not only equity, but also can we provide loan financing for those startups. And one thing to remember is that when we talk about Star Venture, they're usually very early stage companies. When we look at them from the investment perspective, they have to grow, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to put that risk into. Hopefully that answers your question. I think we should just do more of that.
We are honored to have Mr. Sargsyan, the Vice Chairman of the Management Board of Eurasian Development Bank.
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation and the excellent organization of this forum. At the same time, I would like to highlight the impressive success of our colleagues from Kazakhstan in the area of digital transformation. A few words about us. The fund's objective is to assist the ADB member states in developing digital transformation tools and practices by integrating their information resources. Also, through participation in the development and financing of projects. The Fund for Digital Initiatives is a part of the Eurasian Development Bank, which itself combines 2 important functions: a development institution and an international bank. The combination of these functions largely determines the tools of our fund. Such tools are, first, loans, a traditional tool for any kind of bank. Second, participation in capital, an important tool also for supporting the small and medium players. Third, grants, a tool which is more connected with the development function. I must say that Besides those tools, we also have a practice of implementing projects on our own, from concept development to architecture and financing of the engineering part. This is exactly how we once implemented the project Traveling Without COVID-19, which became the main digital tool for restoring free movement of people in post-Soviet area during the pandemic. And I will say the first such tool in the world, created and implemented before the European Union COVID passports. So I can say that there is an additional fourth method of working, creating and financing digital products using our own potential and competencies. Let me inform you, dear colleagues, about the start of the competition of digital projects organized by our fund. The purpose of the competition is to strengthen the integration processes in Eurasia through the support and implementation of joint digital projects. Participants can be legal entities, international organizations, public authorities from the bank's member states, registered and operating in the territory of our countries. Projects can touch any area of digitalization. Detailed information and application forms are available on our website. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. I have a question to you. What kind of support can Eurasian Development Bank provide to the development of local VC market?
We have this kind of four instruments, tools, and additional, we are ready to provide grants, and it is more attractive, especially for small and medium enterprises.
Okay, thank you. Today also we are lucky to have the USAID country coordinator in Kazakhstan, Mr. Stefan Orr. Mr. Orr, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I believe I'm the last speaker, so I'll try to be very focused in my comments. And first of all, I just want to say it's an honor to be included in this group of distinguished international financial institutions assembled around this table. It's clear that none of us can sort of impact this ecosystem alone, so I'm encouraged by the opportunity to collaborate with you. I'm also encouraged by the plenary session this morning. I thought there were some really compelling takeaways. Particularly appreciated the vision that was cast by President Tokayev. For all of us, I think it really sets the stage and tone for the future. And exciting to learn about some things that I didn't know about. For example, the Silk Road hub in Silicon Valley, I think is very exciting. Tim Draper's comments about free and open markets, about breaking down the barriers to connectivity. I think we really ought to take note of that message. And also, just in my conversations around the table, empowering the ecosystem enablers. I like that phrase. Somebody on our team shared that with me, and I thought that was fairly compelling. Just a brief comment about USAID and the region. I'm part of the Central Asia mission based in Almaty, but I'm also focused on Kazakhstan and my role with USAID. We work, of course, across a number of sectors in the region. Of course, we're here today to talk about our work in venture capital and supporting the venture capital and startup ecosystem. USAID works both on the supply side and the demand side. We have a regional approach, but we have a bilateral process. We have country offices in each of the republics in the area, and we have very specific activities. USAID works through our implementing partners. We contract with people that are a lot smarter than we are to implement the technical activities of our program. We have with us our Future Growth Initiative implementers today who've been running the program for 5 years, and we recently awarded an extension of that program called Future Growth Initiative 2.0, for a lack of a better name. So we're really excited to continue this initiative in a number of different areas. Just a slight shift in the focus of our activity. We're building up on the impact for the 5 previous years to include sort of a more inclusive approach, ecosystem approach, especially for women, youth, and vulnerable populations, and expanding in the reach of outside of capital cities to get technology into rural areas, not only in Kazakhstan, but across the region. So how is USAID addressing the ecosystem challenges and opportunities? I'll just mention a few things that I'll encourage you to speak to our colleagues who are implementing the activities following the program, but just to touch on a few. By increasing, somebody's already talked about increasing the pipeline today, and I think really the focus on solutions-based funding, examples of ag tech, tourism tech, health tech, climate tech, really focused on the drivers of the economy so that we can get venture capital and startup pipeline activity happening in those areas. Also on the advanced side, increase in regional capabilities and networks of accelerators, innovators, innovation centers, co-working spaces that have already been mentioned today. A lot of great activity in those areas. And also expanding our cooperation from Central Asia into the Caucasus and really talking about that digital trade system across that area. Also in Kazakhstan, by supporting the ecosystem with trainer-of-trainer activities in cooperation with the MOST Hub that have educated over 40 organizations, accelerators, business and innovation centers, and in all 5 countries by facilitating partnership with other organizations and organizing regional hackathons joined by multinationals like MasterCard and others to support that system. USAID is also actively encouraging angel investors to come in not only with available capital, but also with the ability to enhance early on in introductory training, part of that ecosystem enabling that I've referred to before. So the idea is to facilitate transition from traditional investment to startup investment, to encourage people to take more risk, to understand the opportunities within the market, and then to navigate those processes. Also to raise awareness of availability of new sources of funding. Somebody mentioned the traditional VCs coming in, but how do you get the multinationals coming in to operate in these areas? To serve as advisors of youth and startups based on their unique experience drawn from business networks. For the VC ecosystem to prosper, USAID recognizes the need for greater access and ease to entry of venture capital. You know, capital flows where it's easiest to operate, to flow in and flow out of. So in all 5 countries, we're working to make this happen. We all understand that capital is ready available. There's a lot of capital out there. I was encouraged by the predictions of venture capital in Central Asia, you know, the nascent level we are now, the opportunity to expand that, the predictions that the gentleman made this morning, you know, over the next 5 to 7 years, I think is truly compelling. If we can get this right, if we can work collaboratively together to really have the kind of impact we're looking for. So as these structures improve, you know, local regional VC needs to step up and increase their investment so that international VCs can take notice. Where this occurs, the story needs to be told. Communication, the word needs to get out, and it will get out with the proper promotional campaigns. And I think just politically, the attention that Central Asia is receiving on the world stage, I think is an opportunity, and I think venture capital can sort of travel that pathway that really we feel like the momentum is generating for. So very exciting to see. Just quickly, and I think this has already been touched on. I know we're running late on time, but you know, the quicker pace of legislative frameworks, I think, needs to happen. We can talk about each of the countries where that legislation maybe is a, you know, sort of in a bottleneck in some ways, not to mention specific countries, and I don't think we really have time to go into that. But just to encourage governments in Central Asia to sort of look at international best practices, to see the legislative framework that can be introduced to allow that ecosystem to grow and thrive, I think is really important. I think I'll leave the legislation subject there. I think we're all aware of the challenges in that regard, so I don't feel like there's a need to go into that. But just to say, USAID is proud to provide support in this venture capital startup space. We really are appreciative of our implementing partner, the work that they do in the region, and we really appreciate the opportunity to work with you and find ways to be more effective in our collaboration. You know, we all have a different approach, and so you know, we're open to dialogue with you, with government, with the private sector to facilitate that public-private dialogue that I think is key to really seeing this space thrive. Very exciting to be a part of it. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. Esteemed speakers, I extend my gratitude for your valuable insights. From our discussion today, I have learned that Kazakhstan possesses significant potential for advancing its venture capital ecosystem. It's well equipped with the necessary resources, aided by the international financial institutions and supported by local ecosystem stakeholders, including Digital Ministry, QIC, and KIDF. This collaborative effort is poised to enable VC investments to deliver essential societal and regional benefits. Let's make it a practice to meet regularly and give updates on the implementation of joint initiatives. We as Big Global Ventures are ready to continue to facilitate the general dialogue and be a connecting link. This is the end of our roundtable session. Thank you for joining us today. I kindly request all participants to capture a photograph to commemorate this occasion. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's take a picture. Yeah.